So I'm not one to talk politics. Never have been. I try to stay out of those conversations. I've always respected what everyone feels and thinks. I still do. But I don't think a lot of you understand what's happening in our country right now, mainly because most of you don't live in a sanctioned city. I live in Denver. So the people that are living in these sanctioned cities, we are slowly losing control of our cities, and the government's not doing anything. Governor Polis in Colorado, he is not doing anything about the apartment complex that has been taken over by Venezuelan gang members that have come over illegally. They have robbed 10 gun shops in Denver in the past month. They are strapping up, and this is just the first step. They're seeing what they can get away with, and so far they've been in this apartment complex for almost a month. The police can't do anything about it. We haven't brought in reinforcements, and they're just living in this apartment complex they overtook, and no one's doing anything. What do you think they're going to do next? They're going to start overtaking more apartment complexes, more buildings, more facilities. What did our country think was going to happen when their time was up in the hotels we provided to them?
Y'all ready? Y'all ready to start really getting into it, getting into the thick of things, starting a deep dive into what's really happening in this country? Or are y'all still voting blue? Because let's be clear, she was the border czar. And this administration did sue Texas to try to prevent them from being able to close off their borders. And she was over there gallivanting over there in different places in order to try to advocate for the alphabet community. And they never closed off the border. And they did say that they was never going to build another piece of border wall. And they did say that they was going to do away with the Trump policies as far as trying to make sure that we close off our borders. And all of these sanctuary cities, I need to find a letter. Let me let this woman cook so I can try to find a letter.
I had a feeling they were going to start overtaking things, and that's what's starting to happen. It takes a lot to scare me. I've been to third world countries, never really been freaked out or nervous. Never thought that I would have to buy a gun to feel safe. And even when I get my gun in a couple days, I don't even know if I'll still feel safe, but at least I'll have a weapon. I've never been against guns, but I've also never thought that I'm going to need to buy a gun for safety. But here we are. And if you don't live in a sanctioned city, I really, really encourage you to do some research and see what's happening to our country. I understand if you're a Democrat and you have your reasons, right? Abortion, you're pro-abortion, and same-sex marriage. I'm fine with that. I understand we all have our own opinions and our beliefs, and that's important to a lot of you. But I hope you understand that although those are important topics when it comes to voting, if Trump or someone else is not in office other than Camila, whatever her name is, that stuff's not going to matter, because we will not have a country like we have now or have had. So it's not going to matter if abortion is legal or not. It's not going to matter if same-sex marriage is legal or not, because we're not going to have America anymore. It's not going to be the land of the free. It's not going to be what we have known our whole lives. We're living in a very scary time right now, and a lot of you just don't realize it, mainly because you're not in a sanctioned city, which is great. I'm honestly happy that you guys are not living in a sanctioned city. But for those of us that are, you really just need to pay attention to what's happening, because soon
It's sanctuary city, and it's Kamala or Kamala Harris. But let me see if I can pull up this document for y'all really, really quickly, because I was able to find it. So this is the letter that was signed on behalf of the Democratic mayors, and it was drafted up by Mike Johnston. Mike Johnston is the mayor of Denver, right? And this is October 28th, 2023. and I need to do a whole live stream on this, but they all aligned. This is straight from the city and county of Denver. All right, the city and the county of Denver, just to let y'all know. And it breaks down and it goes into how they're looking for more resources, which includes $1.4 billion identified for food, shelter services, and much needed. And it's important step to address the humanitarian crisis of their cities. We are also grateful for the work you have done to expand work authorization for Venezuelans who arrive before 7/31 and for CPB-1 entrance, which will provide for those populations meaningful access to work. They want additional federal funding. They go on to say dramatically increase access to work authorization. Number 4, adopt a collaborative federal approach to, around coordinated entry. And then it's all signed by you know who? Brandon Johnson, Karen Bass of LA, Chicago, Denver, Houston, New York City. I just want y'all to see what's going on. I'm gonna do a completely different video to show y'all what's been happening, because the reason why I know this and the reason why it is so important for us to really have these conversations is because I've been covering it for years on the Millionaire Morning Show, and we're just now starting to get some visibility into it because y'all have finally woke up and said that we don't want this inside of our cities and all of that. And so now you can start to look at the real results of what's been happening across the country. Let this woman show you, because she's on the front line. Thank Jesus, thank my sweet Lord and Savior that we got some logical politicians here in Detroit City and we didn't make ourselves a sanctuary city. But let me tell y'all how they're destroying y'all cities.
They're going to leave the sanctioned cities, and some of them already have and have gone to different states, cities. So if you think it's only going to happen in these sanctioned cities, you're very wrong. It's eventually going to spread, but this is where it's starting. And they are slowly taking over Denver. It's happening right before our eyes.
They not only taking over Denver, they then took over a lot of Houston. They took over, and Houston, bro, the new mayor that was just elected in Houston, and they kicked out the black mayor. So they said, we tired of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We got to get a guy that actually know what he's doing over here. Houston said that they are broke, that their budgets are squeezed. Chicago, ditto. New York, all across. It's happening all across the country.
And no one's doing anything about it.
At all.
If I would get pulled over on the side of the road and had guns in my vehicle or pounds of marijuana or cocaine, guess who's getting arrested? Me. Obviously, it's illegal. I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. But these people are coming in, doing all sorts of illegal things, and not getting arrested, not getting kicked out of the country. We're handing these people money.
And you know what the worst part about it is that nobody is asking the questions, but we got all of these people that's trying to vote based off of identity politics, these politicians into office, acting like this is something that's in our best interest. And they're parading and gallivanting around, and the reason that they won't do an interview or they won't take questions from reporters or unscripted is because they don't want to be accountable for years, literally for years. Kamala Harris has successfully avoided and somehow has finessed y'all into thinking that this is best for y'all, and y'all living in these cities and y'all still gonna vote this way. And you got mayors like Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson running around sitting here acting like this is best for y'all, when we've had Chicagoans going off on Brandon Johnson about letting migrants into our country in the first place. Y'all better wake up. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Always linking back down to the content creators. Also, make sure that y'all tap in that T. Hanley 40